Welcome back to Next Stage Podcast, everyone. We got Connor Taylor of Tales of Joy, the band, but also, more importantly, the effects pedal company Poison Noises. And he's coming here, I keep forgetting people aren't here, zooming in here to talk to us about his effects pedals. So we're going to get a little bit of background about just guitar effects in general and what they're doing with Poison Noises. So, Connor, welcome.
Oh, dude, thanks for having me, Scott. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thanks for making the time to come and do this. So I wanted to kind of start off with a Cliff Notes version of guitar effects in general, because I personally got into them a little bit late in playing guitar. I was of the Angus Young mind, just plug into your amp and crank it, and if you're not good enough, then get better. Then I realized effects do a lot, and I get asked by a lot of other guitar players, like, what effects do you use and why and what order to plug them in? But I basically understand there's distortion, drive, overdrive, crunch ones, and then there's modulation ones. And that's about as generic as I can get. You obviously make pedals, so you have a better understanding. If you can give a little background of effects and why people use them and what the categories are, just to give an introduction on that.
Sure, I'd love to. It's my favorite thing to talk about. So you have your what quote unquote dirt boxes, like you were mentioning, your overdrives, your fuzz, your distortions, basically your general breakup. You also have compression, some EQ settings, some like literal equalizers, and basically all you can really boil pedals down to is you're just taking your signal path and manipulating it using resistance, different power stages, different gain stages, and just creating circuits that are going to make your signal either drive harder and break up a little bit, or take some harshness out of it. You use all these things such as resistance and different diodes to manipulate the sound. So when you're talking about dirt boxes and you're talking about fuzz pedals, the fuzz pedals in particular are usually some pretty simple circuits, especially if you're just like starting out. They're pretty easy, and you can kind of equate that to like Jimi Hendrix's classic tone. He was a big fuzz guy. His fuzz pedals, the fuzz face, is really like it's almost like his pedal in a way. When you hear it, you hear that tone. So you also have your delays, modulations. Delays are going to be your echoes, your chorusy, like washy, watery type stuff, for the non-guitar players at home. And like I was saying before, you also have some bass boosts, and you have harmonizers, things that take your signal and double it, triple it, change the pitch of it. Honestly, guitar pedals have come a long way, especially recently.
Yeah, it seems like there's like a never-ending new version of something, or just another experimental style or model of effect that comes out. But I guess, like, why would someone want to use effects? Like, what if you were to say, if a guitar player said to you, like, I want to start using effects, I don't use any. What can I use to get my introduction to it?
So I actually run a guitar store. That's like my main full-time job. Is I work for Guitar Center, and one thing that I always tell players that are buying their first electric guitar, they've been playing, you get to a point where you've learned your cowboy chords and you're strumming and you're having a good time, but now you're looking for your sound. And it's important to explore sound in all its entirety. Growing up, I was a huge Avenged Sevenfold fan, and I know that my 6-string acoustic guitar wasn't going to sound like Avenged Sevenfold. So I, bought an electric guitar, and I got an amplifier that was going to basically just emulate that sound. So that's where I started, is I just started with emulators. You were saying you got into pedals a little bit late. Well, after you got through the Angus Young thing, what was the first thing that really you wanted to sound like after that you needed a pedal for?
David Gilmour. I wanted some kind of like delay type effect because I loved his guitar solos. I'm like, how does he do that? I did have a modeling amp, you know, a Flex Tone, Flex Tone 2 Plus or something like that, made by Line 6. So it had a lot of built-in effects, but they all just sounded cheesy to me, you know. And I like the sweeping, soaring sound of David Gilmour. So I was like, how do I do that? Didn't know there was a whole lot of active pickups, rack units, and everything that went into that, but that kind of soaring lead sound is what I was after.
Oh, of course. And those amp emulators made it great. And then, you know, they made it easy because it was like, click a button. Here's a Pink Floyd solo that sounds okay, but, you know, you got enough of it where it's like, wow, I know what to get. And I feel like as guitar players really start to mature, and, you know, honestly, all instrumentalists are using pedal boards. I love putting together pedal boards for saxophone players because, like, that sound just works so well with guitar pedals. It's insane. But at the end of the day, like, you learn what they were using, and you learn that a lot of these guys are using analog pedals, which, you know, analog is a circuit. You know, digital effects are, you know, printed to a board or printed to a chip, and then and it's a lot of coding and stuff like that. But analog is how you like create tones by breaking up circuits and adding resistance. And that's what we do at Poison Noises. We make, as of right now, all analog pedals.
What's the benefit of that? Because there's always this debate about it, and the people who are analog say analog, you got to get that, or if you get to the Moog ones, you got to have the actual tape in there and all that stuff for the delay. But as a player and for using it, like, what do you gain by having the analog versus digital effect?
Well, the digital effect is an emulation. You know, it's taking something and breaking it down to numbers and basically coding that effect and, you know, manipulating it differently. When you're using analog pedals, you know, I have a pedal here just in front of me here. When you turn a knob, and I'm going to just hide it down a little bit here. When you turn a knob, you know, there's one knob that's just turning up the gain. It's not turning up the volume. It's just using the circuit and adding, you know, either resistance, taking away resistance to, you know, manipulate the tone that this pedal is creating just in its simplest circuit. So that is true manipulation. And, you know, for me, analog has a certain warmth to it, a certain, you know, oomph to it. You know, I feel like I could compare it to, you know, just like fake food versus real food. You know, when you make your own burger from scratch, you can taste the authenticity of it. When you're, you know, using digital effects, you're going to McDonald's and grabbing a McDouble or something.
So it's like the fast food approach to tone.
I guess that's the pedal snob in me, but yeah, for me it is, because, you know, somebody crafted this circuit, man. Like, somebody put their heart and soul into it, and I feel like that's when you can really hear the difference.
And is from, you know, you're a guitar player and you play in a band. Did you get into making effects because you were trying to customize ones you had, or did you just not find like what you wanted on the market? Like, what got you into making them? I assume you went through a lot of pedals yourself and tried different things.
Well, for me, you know, I remember it's like back in January. Poison Noise is actually made up of 4 dudes. So I'm one of the guys, and then Jordan Withers is our like head designer, total genius type guy, mad scientist, tone experimenter, and he's showed us how to make them, and he's, you know, kind of taken us on a journey. And what I've found is I feel like I could speak on behalf of the people that think that they can't do this, because I was like, oh, I can't do this. I'm definitely going to be bad at this. This is going to go terribly. I'm going to blow up my amplifier in 2 seconds. But, you know, Jordan really kind of helped me through it. So, you know, what started as just us being like, yo, we should build our own pedals, and reading up on it and stuff like that. You know, he got the parts first and started experimenting, and that's what made our very first fuzz. So after we learned how to do the fuzz, the designing never really stuck with fuzz. We were originally just going to like release a couple fuzz pedals and be like, yo, we got fuzz pedals, dude. It's sick. And then after just, you know, kind of falling in love with it, you know, the designs kept coming, and it wasn't like we were chasing a sound that I really wanted. It was like, I think the first thing I thought of was like, dude, if he learns how to build pedals before me, maybe he can build me my own delay, because I've always wanted my own delay. The Trails of Joy. I always wanted that, dude. Just like a great sweeping echo, Trails of Joy thing, but no delays yet. But honestly, it ended up taking off where people just really got engaged with it and got behind it. And we just ran with it, man. Like all these, like right now we're really focused on dirt boxes. So it's like we're hearing all these dirt boxes, we're listening to our favorite artists all the time, and now we are trying to chase that tone, because it's like we're hearing all these epic pedals that we heard back in the day, or these epic tones, and it's like how do we get that naturally?
So what is a dirt box, and what does it do for everyone listening who maybe doesn't know and doesn't play guitar, or maybe inexperienced, because this is your entry point, right?
Yeah, sure. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to use some analogies that people may not agree with, but I'm going to go for it. So do you ever get into your car and you have your volume all the way up on your phone and your volume's cranked and you hear like that gross, muddy breakup almost like it's peaking a little bit? With overdrives and stuff, what you're doing is you're controlling that breakup to turn what is just a clean, natural sound from your strings going into your magnetic pickups. And you're taking that sound, you're driving it so hard that it starts to break up within itself. And that's what creates that guttural crunch that you hear. And like, simple thing to think about too is Stevie Ray's tone. You get a really nice Stevie Ray tone when you have a really nice Texas blues amp and you crank the heck out of that gain and turn your volume up and let the notes smack between each other with a little bit of dirt in between. So a dirt box could be a fuzz, Jimi Hendrix style. You go heavy metal. Let's talk Metallica and everyone that came after Metallica. That's going to be some distortion, which is an extra drive. And then, you have many different stages of overdrive, but I like to compare just like that blues crunchy guitar is just a basic idea of overdrive.
So is the point of using a pedal, or maybe why they were invented, so you can get that tone without blasting your amp at full volume?
Yeah, and basically just taking your tone and manipulating it. When you just have one signal going to another, adding resistance changed the tones, and that's just what got people interested in it. It just sounded different and gave them something new to try.
So when you guys started building these, like, had anyone built effects before, or you just said, like, let's give this a try, first shot? Like, how did that turn into, a pedal company from like never having done it before, or had someone already been doing it who's involved?
We all worked in music retail, so we were all managers of some sort of music retail thing. So we always had an influx, both of like people selling pedals to us, new gear coming to us. We always had these influx of like you walk into work one day and see a giant like purple pedal for like $400 on the counter. You're like, yo, what is that thing? Who made that thing? You read up a little bit about it, and it's just like, eventually we did that for so long where it was like, Jordan had a background in building tube microphones and, has an audio engineering degree. So he's always been tinkering with something. But when it came down to effects and just kind of getting, you kind of get lost in pedals, man. I don't know about you, but like nothing's better than waking up on a Sunday morning, grabbing a cup of coffee and going to see what you could pick up at the local music shop. And I used to do that all the time, and I'd always try and find a pedal, and I'd always find a way to end up trading something in to buy it. So I'm always chasing that tone just for something fun, man. I'm sure you're the same way. One thing I meant to ask you is, do you have a favorite pedal of all time?
I'm so inexperienced that I can't really speak with authority on it. I like my big muff that I have. It's like a version of it. It's the Pi something or other, but it's like a smaller one. It's got some
nice
switches, the tone worker thing. But I'm so minimal with effects. Like, I always feel like a newbie with it. That's why I'm interested to talk to you, because like I don't know that much about it, and I always feel like frustrated or incompetent when I try to like sequence things. I'm like, I don't know, I just want to play. And I kind of feel like it's overwhelming to know how to set the knobs and what order to put them in. So it's a bit of a mystery to me at times, and I always think I'm doing it wrong.
No, you're never doing it wrong. That's the pedal is designed to work within a capacity, and you just find the tone in between. You said the tone wicker muff. I absolutely love the tone wicker muff, and I've had a lot of fun with that pedal because it's a little bit more adjustable. And like the big muff, if you picture it, is the raw fuzz. That's like your raw fuzz feel, just like the fuzz face, the round circular Jimi Hendrix one. But when you add the wicker in there, you just get a little bit more manipulation, man. Just a little more tone sculpting. I picture it kind of like someone just like picking an ice sculpture at all times. When you finally get that full pedal board together, you're just sculpting anywhere you can and any way you can, dude. It's fun. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, I found it just like it cut through a little bit better, than other distortion pedals I had used. And it gave that classic, tone that you hear on a lot of records. So it sounded right to me. I plugged it in. I'm like, oh, this sounds like things I've heard a lot. Probably because a lot of people use a similar type of distortion in the music I listen to. But yeah, as far as like when you guys were getting into it, did you see like holes in the market that you might have wanted to fill, or did you see like, I'd like to improve on this? Like what you said, you're such aficionados of the pedals, and you try different things that you probably came across types that you're like, oh, I would change that about this one, or if only someone combined this one and that one, that would be awesome.
That is the perfect question. So I have a pedal here that we designed off of, years of playing different overdrives. And, there's a certain overdrive on the market that we really, really loved, that, unfortunately had some bad press and whatever. And anyway, they became very hard to find. But they're very distinctive pedals, and they really are on, like, dude, you could probably name 10 guitar players right now, and I could tell you if they had this on their board or have it on their board or did it one time or another. It's just a very distinctive overdrive. And, we always thought that it was a little bit closed in. We thought we could open it up more and just kind of make it more of that, to a point where you can get it kind of wild and out of control. And we were able to make that, and it's pretty cool, dude. So we recently, just kind of as like a testing market, because this particular pedal isn't out, and I promise I'll show it. I'm really kind of burying the lead here on this thing, but we sent this pedal out to Brandon Benson of the Rankin Terrors. We sent Lincoln Parrish from Cage the Elephant one, and Matt Mitch Junkins from A Perfect Circle, and we were just like, yo, let us know what you think of these. Just sent them to him, and we got some really solid response, to the point where Matt McJunkins is playing this on his board permanently now, which is pretty cool.
Whoa, like how did you get to send these pedals to them? You just like look up their address? Like how did that happen? I want to hear about this story.
Some light stalking. No, I'm just kidding. Honestly, we made the pedal. We felt confident in it. When I heard it, I was like, this is the best overdrive I've ever heard in my life. And I got to be honest with you. Like there are some pedals like that I feel very passionate about, but like this one, it was just like all their idea to really put it together. And when I heard it, I was like, it's the best overdrive I've ever heard. And Jordan just texted me one day. He's like, dude, we should send our pedals to people and like get them to like, let's get some like Instagram, influencers to play our pedal or something. And he was just like, nah, dude, let's just send it to our favorite guitar players and see what they think about it. Like maybe they'll take them from us. And all of them did. It's pretty cool.
Like, how did you get their addresses to send it to them? Like, where do you look that up? Is it public record?
Dude, I've never slid into anybody's DMs harder than them. We slid so hard into their DMs. We were like, dude, we'll send you a pedal, dude. Just tell us where to send it, dude. Like, we'll send it right now, dude. I'm at UPS right now, dude. Yeah, like we were all over it, man. We were just like, whatever we need to do. And, some people left us on red, but a lot of other people were just like, yo, you can send it here. Some of them do fan mail. So they have like a PO box for fan mail and stuff. And they ended up just kind of picking it up. We hit up a couple like managers, just really tried to dig super deep into just being like, yo, we dig your sound. We know you dig this kind of sound. Let's see if you dig our sound.
That's amazing, man. I'm so glad it was well received. Like, did you get messages back? Like, what was the revealing point when you knew that they liked your pedal, and like, how did that feel?
it was like so cool to like get an Instagram notification that they were like going live. And I remember being at work and I just like saw that one of them had went live on Instagram, and I open it up and he's like holding the pedal in view. And I was just like, oh, dude, no way he got it. And he like plugs it in, he plays it, and he's like, yo, this thing sounds great. And honestly, all of them, like, we were just like, let us know what you think. But a lot of them like put it on their story or made a video, and they were like, yo, check this out, just got this pedal from Poison Noises, like, I dig it. And they were cool enough to give us like a testimonial for our website. You know, I think there's some videos with it. I don't know if we're going to put them on the site fully, but the testimonials are there about kind of like the distinct things of it. But I should probably show it to you, right? Like, I should show you this pedal real quick. So this is the Crook. I don't know if this is inverted on your screen here, but the Crook is our signature overdrive here. So up top here, you have your braking, which is basically going to be like your drive. You have your entering, which is your volume here. Then you're going to have your high tail right here, which is your tone. And then we call this the goods, just a high pass and a low pass. Right there, the Crook.
Nice. So as far as like the cases, do you buy those blanks and get them like screened with, you know, the printing? Like, how do you get your graphic on those cases?
So we in-house draw all of the artwork, and then we print it out of the printer. We paint all the boxes ourselves. You know, we order the boxes and they come just like aluminum, and literally from the ground up build these things, build the circuit on the inside, paint the whole thing, and draw the logo and print and paste the logo.
What's the story behind the name The Crook? Is it kind of like steal the market? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, we're definitely stealing the market. I think it's basically like tone so good it should be illegal type stuff. I think we were thinking that for sure, and it definitely stealing the market's definitely a good nod. You know, the good thing is that this circuit is our circuit, and we just made it better, I guess, than the other one. So, and again, I guess I work for the company, so I guess I'm my biggest fan. But it really is the best overdrive, and I'll definitely demo it for you in a little bit, because I think everybody deserves to hear it after me just stroking about it all day long.
Well, yeah, but you also have reviews and examples online and stuff, so people can check out like a actual, you know, your promos for them, right?
Yes. So we actually, at the time of this video, have just filmed all of the videos. So this is actually the first time that anybody, if this podcast comes out before, it's totally okay. But this is the first time that anybody's like really seeing it like super up close, and me explaining the knobs and what it does and stuff. So it's an honor to do it with you guys, to be honest. I was stoked to be like, yo, I get to show it up close and personal.
Well, it's an honor that you chose to do it here, man. We're kind of breaking some news here. It's like sort of like a reveal thing. But you mentioned you mentioned about circuitry. You said this is our circuit. Are there like patents on certain types of pedal circuits that people will like sue you if you clone them?
Kind of. So like you don't really, it's like writing a song. You change a couple chords, right? But like really you design the circuit from the ground up. So things could end up being similar, but at the end of the day, it's really your own take on it. It is kind of hard to patent it. You know, you can trademark it and that kind of stuff. And we've looked into, you know, different things, and, you know, we have all these taken care of in our name, which is nice. But yeah, I mean, certain patents do exist, certain, you know, design ideas you can't really, you know, infringe upon, but there are clones for days, dude. Like you can find clones of pedals. Like usually every pedal you find is based off of like another pedal. So like most overdrives are based off of an Ibanez Tube Screamer or a Maxon 808. Those are similar overdrives that basically a lot of the blues drives are based off of. The Boss DS1, is something that a lot of people make very similar to. The Big Muff is another thing that they clone. And then you have things like the Klon. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Klon, but that's a very famous pedal that everyone tries to copy. But at the end of the day, when we didn't want to just be like a copy company. We wanted to like take something that we really liked and see if there were any things we could do to make it a little bit better.
And now this is kind of an outside the box question, but do you find that there are effects that are popular because of a person that used them and not necessarily how good they sound?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of cases like that in the music industry. If you think about, for studio monitors, the NS12s by Yamaha, they are very popular monitors, but they were designed as home theater speakers, but they sounded like crap. But that's why people like mixing on them, because they're crappy. And I'm definitely paraphrasing that story because there's definitely a lot more to it. But yeah, so like I hate the way the DS1 sounds for my playing. And I think it just kind of sounds bad, but when you add other things around it, it sounds so good. Or like the Metal Zone pedal, for instance, can sound a bit thin, but you add a couple things to it. And the Metal Zone has such a negative... it's like you see all the memes about the Metal Zone. I want to make a board of just Metal Zones, just so I can have it, just for the meme. But I actually like it when you put a couple things around it. So I think it's all mixing and matching at the end of the day. There are certain effects that I'm like, wow, this doesn't sound good just by itself. But then I add like 6 things around. I'm like, I get it now. I get why people like this thing. It's like a little puzzle piece.
Yeah, I guess that is how it works. When you see people's boards, you're like, they're all different, and they've got one going into the next, and everyone's got their own taste. I guess it's a never-ending journey to find, the right combinations. So what are some other pedals that you guys have come up with that are, is it like officially a line of pedals or what?
Yeah, so all the fuzzes are a line. We have the Gluttonous Fuzz, the Glutty Deluxe. The Gluttonous Fuzz, I think, is a nice, simple fuzz pedal, and then the Glutty Deluxe allows you to take it to an out of control level. And then for bass players, we made the Bass Glut, and we made the Bass Glut XL, and the soon to come Glut Cheeks is also going to be coming out soon in the future. I knew you guys would like that one. That's my favorite name so far. We just released a line of utility pedals like our ABY switch, which allows you to run to 2 rigs, at one time, or run 2 pedal boards in. That's the Wishbone. Then we have the Mood Swing, which is like the Swiss Army knife of pedals between running different rigs and running different pedal boards and different sends and returns. And then we have our Buffer, which is just going to help strengthen your signal and make it sound even more crisp and clean. But the 3 that I brought for you today are like, I'm going to call them, our 3 biggest releases in a while. So I showed you the Crook. There she blows. And then for my second trick, I show you the Knuckle Sandwich, which is our bluesier style overdrive. I would compare that to a Tube Screamer. I'm going to say right now the Knuckle Sandwich was definitely my idea for the name, but they killed it on the art. He even got the olive. Hold on. Got the olive up there. Bang, bang. And then for the last one, this is our distortion. It's called the Dirt Nap. I think
love that
one,
name, man.
I think that one, dude, I got to give it up to the guy, Brandon, at Poison Noises as well. He named that one, and art came out great. And honestly, so out of all these pedals, I can use the Crook for sure on my board, and I don't want to spoil anything, in case he's ever on rig rundown or he's going to put his full setup on gear sluts. But Kenny from Tales of Joy recently added a Crook to his board, so we have a use for it. And now I'm going to add the Dirt Nap to my board and mix those tones together and really just give a nice fat overdrive to the whole thing.
Nice, man. This is like so cool that you're able to make your own effects, but then play them. You know, it's like I don't know of too many people who are on both sides of the gear world. You know, either you are playing and maybe someone makes you custom things, or like you're making it and giving it out, but you get to do both. Like, how often have you used your own effects on shows? Is this like relatively new? Have you played any live shows with these effects yet?
Man, COVID totally ruined everything for that,
I was
unfortunately.
afraid of
Like I
that.
think I know it's a damn shame. So we had a couple ready to go, but I did not use them on our very last show, unfortunately, just because my board was in a bit of a transition period for itself. But by the time I emerge out of this, I'm hoping that my board is entirely Poison Noises pedals, because there's just so much cool stuff on the horizon that I think that's a reality.
So when you're working on a new pedal, you're making something. Are you ever like plugging it in before it's like fully ready, and you're like messing with stuff? Like how much can you be like hearing it while you're making it, or is that just extremely dangerous and stupid?
No, it really depends on what you're making. You know, right now, so originally it was all hand wired pedals. So all, you know, I that is what I learned to do, was the hand wired stuff. And to be completely honest with you guys, like I know how to build the fuzzes pretty well, but I do not know how to build these, because Jordan has moved on to full you know, PCB boards, and he prints the boards and then attaches all the different resistors, diodes, and transistors the way that he's designed them to fit. And I got to tell you, he's like an absolute evil genius. And I'm sorry that you got the B star, guys. I'm sorry you got the B star in Poison Noises here, but I do have to give it up, because honestly, I could talk about our effects all day. But he's been designing them since these three are his total babies for sure.
But when you are coming up with new designs, is it sort of like you're tweaking on something that you've already been working on, or is it like you're starting from scratch with like a brand new idea, or probably no real pattern to it, I would assume?
So I do, my main gig in Poison Noises is the financials. So you guys got the finance guy. Sorry.
Okay.
I could talk about big business all day, but no, I can tell you how it goes, because I like to know my business inside and out. So Jordan has really kept me in the loop on where it starts, because like I said, he's the mad scientist. It's all in his brain all the time. It's all he thinks about. So he ends up coming up with an idea. The idea is hypothesized, and then at that point, it's just like you get a rhythm where you kind of know what you're doing, and you know, you can kind of think ahead and be like, yo, I think I can make this, you know, this design better, or I can just start from scratch and make my own design. So it really just whatever tone you're chasing. Sometimes it's good to use a reference for, you know, what that, you know, effect is, and its absolute, you know, total simplicity, and building off of that. Or sometimes you have a reference point for something that you already like, you know.
So, were you planning on demoing some of these live over here while we're on the podcast
I'd
here?
love
Can
to.
you give us a little taste of these? Because I know, like, in talking about them, it's like hard to imagine, and like I've got a certain amount of understanding of effects, so I know what you're talking about. But somebody who's very new to effects, or maybe doesn't know anything about them at all, like it's so much easier to like hear them played than to try to like describe what they do. So, do you have a setup where we can hear some of these right now?
I do. Just give me 1 sec here. I'm going to set it up right now.
man,
Alrighty.
that is some good distortion on there, and definitely more of that like edgier, metally tone to it for sure. I would take that tone any day as well. I like these pedals, man. I would love to try them out sometime.
Dude, anytime. You let me know. I'll be there.
So where are all these available? Are people able to buy them yet? Are you guys still in like the like making prototypes phases? Like, is this? I mean, what's your production capacity like? If you get like 1 million orders?
We would love 1 million orders. I think we could build them. I think we could build 1 million orders for sure. Sorry to just switch from my boom mic like I'm doing stand up on Zoom right now. So you can find our pedals at facebook.com/poison noises. You could find us on reverb.com. And for those who don't know, Reverb is a place where musicians go to buy and sell gear. A lot of local mom and pops use that site. A lot of people, resell used gear on there. But we have a full Poison Noises shop on reverb.com. That's probably the easiest way to buy our pedals. But we take pedal orders in our Instagram DMs. We take pedal orders in our Facebook DMs. You could text me. You could send me a smoke signal. I'll do whatever I can to get a pedal into your home. But reverb.com/poison noises for sure. And then orders at poisonnoises.com. You can email us there. And that's probably the most professional way to do it, other than just be like, yo, dude, just like, I'll come meet you in this parking lot with this pedal real quick.
So how long does it take to make a pedal? Does it depend on the pedal, or is it like a pretty analogous length of time for each one?
As long as we have the parts, I think a pedal nowadays in the hands of the master, Jordan, will take anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours, depending on how hard it is to build. But he's pumping them out, man. We would love more orders. You keep them coming. If you want 1 million pedals, I'll figure it out. I'll make it happen.
Wow, that's great to hear, man. I didn't know how much work goes into them, but that's an awesome turnaround. I mean, I guess you got a wizard, behind the work, so that helps. And as far as like what's to come next with this stuff, are you guys just going by the word of mouth thing? Is there any like way to like do expos? Do people like go places and show this stuff off, or you're just like organically growing it?
Once COVID goes, and onto the horizon, and we can start doing some bigger get-togethers and stuff, I think gear expos are going to be a big thing. You look at NAMM and stuff, and that's definitely like a long-term goal for us, is to have a booth at NAMM or something and show off gear with some of the biggest vendors in the world. But for right now, we're getting gear into local shops. We're looking for local shops to sell our pedals, and in some instances we only have a couple in some shops. This all started in Schenectady, New York, so up in the Albany area, and we've got pedals in a bunch of stores in Albany. We're working on getting them into stores in Connecticut. That way you can go into a local shop and hopefully see our name there. And then also just a big thing is, we're going to be doing promotions where, sharing our videos gets you a certain % off, or, refer a friend type stuff. So we're going to make it worth people's while to buy directly from us as well.
And now I have a question about, just matching gear and stuff. How critical, or how much does it matter what your guitar and amp are in relation to the pedal you're using? Because I know I've noticed a difference. Like obviously, like a tube driving effect, like a tube screamer, doesn't really translate on a solid state the same way. It doesn't say it's bad. It's just very different. Is it, do you guys build pedals for certain types of gear matchups, or is it kind of universal?
I'd say that our pedals, personally, I think they sound best on a tube amp. However, I've played with these pedals so much and done so much research with playing them on solid state amps, through digital amps and stuff. I'd say the easiest thing to make sound good on a digital amp is actually a modulation effect. The hardest thing to really make sound good on a solid state amplifier is like a nice overdrive. At this point, I think it sounds really nice and like deep and thick. When I think of like a solid state, like the dirt nap on a solid state sounds great. But right now I'm playing through a Fender Deluxe Reverb. So all those creamy, rich highs and those nice like cutting low mids, that's all coming from the tube.
So you're going to get a version of the effect no matter what. It's going to be good, but you guys are sort of designing for the tube amp world is where they shine the most, I guess you'd say.
I think all analog pedals kind of, really get brought out by, a really solid tube amp. But don't get me wrong, there's amps like Quilter out there. They're making solid state stuff that sounds so great and so similar to, tube stuff where I think that kind of thing, it's almost insignificant difference. But if you're plugging into like a small practice amp that you just started with, this pedal, is still going to have like its rich, very unique qualities for sure.
Yeah, it'll probably sound better than anything else you'll be plugging into it. So as far as like customized pedals or anything, you guys ever think about that, or like custom artwork, or you're strictly staying with what you got? I mean, I guess maybe unless someone really important asked you.
Oh no, we definitely, I'd say that in 2021, that's like one of the first things we want to do is you can hit us up. You just kind of set some parameters. We'll have a little fill form for you. Jordan is the one that does the drawings as well. And, some people kind of want like custom drawings of themselves. Some people want to be able to print their own things on a pedal. I think that there is such a huge market for that. And you can, a lot of times you run into stuff that will do that where it'll look good, but it won't sound good. We're going to make sure that everyone has its unique sound and has its unique ability and looks however people want it. But yes, that is absolutely on the horizon in 2021.
I like that idea, man, getting your customized artwork on a pedal. That way if anyone stole it too, because these are going to be highly collectible pedals.
Oh, dude, exactly. And also, like, I just want the opportunity, like, if I were someone at home that didn't know how to build pedals, but like wanted to make their own pedal, this is the perfect way, because everyone's always thought of like what they would name a pedal based off of an effect. It's like coming up with a good band name. It's like coming up with a good pedal name feels that same satisfaction.
Do you have any like favorite names you haven't used yet, or all the good ones already been used on your pedals?
Man, Glut Cheeks is the newest one, and that one's just so good. I love Glut Cheeks a lot. There are some that we have buried for good reason, but right now it's like the way it sounds is huge for me. Before I'm like, oh, this is the name of the pedal. We have a couple of like of modulation ones that we definitely want to mess around with, but Trails of Joy will be the Tales of Joy signature delay if we can make that happen. I don't know, man. I'm still waiting for that big payday for the Trails of Joy.
Well, we're just gonna have to do another episode when that comes out, and you'll have to showcase it here. I really appreciate you coming on and talking about the company Poison Noises and what's going on there. I'm excited that this is happening. It's really cool to talk to you about effects in general, because I already learned a lot, being pretty new to it all. I love the sounds that you're getting out of this stuff, so I'm looking forward to the development of it. And we'll definitely want to have after the episode here, we'll have a video of you showcasing some of these pedals. So I appreciate you making the time. I don't know, you kind of dropped all the social media connections, links and whatever, so I think you kind of covered how people can contact you, right?
Yeah, at Poison Noises on Instagram, facebook.com/Poison Noises. The site will be up soon, which is poisonnoises.com, and orders at poisonnoises.com is the best place to order pedal.
Sweet. So if any of you Next Stage listeners want a custom pedal, you know where to go, and there's no excuses anymore. So check them out, Poison Noises. Connor, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us. We'll definitely do a follow-up as things develop. Obviously there's more in the works. Trails of Joy, I'm looking forward to hearing that one. But thanks everybody for listening.
Scott, thank you so much too.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on, man. And we'll do this again sometime. And thanks to everyone for listening. We love y'all, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.